After a much needed movie reboot, we finally have a new Mortal Kombat movie. The past two entries from this franchise, they haven't really aged particularly well. I'll talk about that in a video sometime in the next week, but let's just say it was in need of a fresh reboot. MMA fighter Cole Young seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. Like I said, the two previous movies from the 90s of Mortal Kombat, they're not held as great cinema, but I think fans of the franchise can enjoy them just because it's an adaptation. And video game movies overall just haven't been too well received in the past. Only in recent years they've started to be a bit better. Will this be amongst one of the best video game movies, or is it down there with the worst? So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with my positives for this movie. Look, on paper I know it's a reboot, but it is a completely different movie to the 95 movie, as well as Mortal Kombat Annihilation. A big difference, which is why I think this is a lot better, is the age rating. You know, the games are known for being some of the goriest and most violent games out there, especially for when this video game franchise began. So mixing some really gory and violent scenes with just straight up great action choreography is what instantly made me enjoy this movie more, as well as not having as nearly as much cheesiness to it. I haven't played many of the games at all, so I'm not too familiar or as much of a fan as other people are, but even I know that Sub-Zero is a huge character when it comes to Mortal Kombat. He was kind of underused in the previous movies. Here he is very menacing, kind of has this sort of horror feel to him where, because he's hunting these people down, like windows or the stuff around them begins to slowly freeze to make you know that his entrance is inbound. So stuff like that I thought was really cool, and just it was really menacing. All his action scenes, as well as everyone else's, they were really cool. With all the mixed martial arts, it was a very fun time, and it's a blockbuster which we've really been deprived of this past year, so it was great to see something like that. I mentioned its cheese or its campiness was nowhere near to the amounts that was in the previous two Mortal Kombat movies. There is still some, but it's a good laugh. But besides that, it has a really good tone straight from the beginning. I really like the tone that's established. I actually liked it, what they established in the trailer. And if you've seen the movie, you know that it sets up nicely for a sequel. So I'd be quite happy to see more of this franchise just with the tone that they've established. Australian as the comic relief character could never go wrong. So I absolutely loved Kano in this movie, and he brought some much needed humor, or at points it wasn't even needed, but just what he brought in, it was quite funny. And from what I've read, it seemed accurate to the source material. So that mixed with a bunch of like fatalities or lines that I could tell were references to the games, I'm sure fans of the video game franchise would have loved this. Although Kano was funny, other than him, the characters didn't have too much depth to them at all, especially because they brought in this new character, Cole Young, who wasn't from any of the video games. They brought him in, and even him, he didn't have any sort of depth to him. He was just there for the story's sake. We get hints at people's backstories, but that's about it. We don't get to know them too much, and it makes them forgettable. You're never gonna get like top class actors in a movie like this, but some of the acting was a bit poor. You know, it wasn't too bad, but if I really have to find some negatives, it probably was on that front at points. But then it's also tied in with the lack of character development for some people, so it makes the actor have a hard job in trying to make this character stand out or stand above the rest. It's just a minor thing, but it's very noticeable at points. Overall, I had a really great time with this reboot of Mortal Kombat. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of the video games. Doesn't mean I don't like them, I just haven't played them. But even without playing them, I could really enjoy things. And even some of the Easter eggs for those gamers I could enjoy, even though I'm not a hardcore fan. It is definitely one of the best video game movies out there. I still preferred Sonic a tiny bit more. So I'm gonna give Mortal Kombat 2021 a 67%. So it is a lot better than some of the other video game adaptations, but a movie which wasn't ever really going to get a really high rating, but for what it is, I think it did quite a good job. Let me know what you thought of this movie down below, and what is your favorite video game movie. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. But yeah, I should have a Mortal Kombat movie ranking coming in a few days time, so make sure to stick around for that. But yeah, anyways, once again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in that video.